It's something you do when no one is watching. Nothing shameful. There is nothing wrong. Just something quiet. Something personal. Something that most people around you will never understand or even notice. And here's what's strange about it. The more intelligent a person is, the more his real life happens in solitude. Not because they are antisocial, not because they are broken, because their brains are privately doing something that others just don't need to do. Today we are going to take a look at 5 of those things, and if you recognize yourself in any of them, take note. Because what you're doing quietly alone may be the most important thing about you. Most people assess intelligence based on how a person performs in front of others. Grade, conversation, spot answer. But that's just the surface. Real cognitive depth, the kind that psychologists actually study, doesn't happen in classrooms or boardrooms. It happens in silence. This happens when everyone else is asleep. It happens that no one else comes during the walk. And if you have ever felt that your inner world is much richer than what you can show to others, then this is not ego. This is a pattern. A pattern that researchers in personality psychology and cognitive science have documented for decades. The question is, what are intelligent people really doing in that silence? Intelligence is not a personality. It is a process. And these 5 behaviors are not habits that a person decides to adopt. These occur naturally when the mind is inspired to go deeper. If you spent years feeling isolated, and you have too many things going on in your head, too slow to explain what you're thinking, too tired after social situations, then that's not your fault. This is an adaptation. You are not crazy. It's running a different kind of program. So let's get started. 1. They silently rebuild conversations. Look, after the conversation is over, most people forget it within an hour. But highly intelligent people repeat it again and again. Not because of anxiety, although it may feel that way. Their brains are running what cognitive scientists call post-hoc processing, reviewing social data for gaps, inconsistencies, and meaning that wasn't fully captured at the time. According to my research, most people watch the film once and move on. Intelligent minds look at it again, not because they couldn't understand it, but because they're sure they missed something. This is linked to a characteristic called high cognitive elaboration, the brain's drive to connect new information to existing knowledge structures. What happens in real life? You skip a meeting. Everyone else takes lunch. You're still silently double-checking what someone said, not because you're insecure, but because your brain has flagged an inconsistency it wants to resolve. 2. They practice thinking in questions, not answers. They practice thinking in questions, not answers. Most people think in the answer. Highly intelligent people think in better questions. Alone, they do not rehearse the conclusions, they challenge them. Psychologist Lev Vygotsky called this inner speech, the internal dialogue the brain uses to privately examine ideas before they become beliefs. The mental model here is simple. Think of your mind as a courtroom. Most people only call witnesses who agree with them. Wise minds also call for prosecution. This is why they are often slow to form opinions publicly. He is still cross-examining himself in private. In real life, before sharing a belief or taking a position, a highly intelligent person has already spent time, alone, trying to prove it wrong to themselves. 3. They sit with unresolved emotions for a long time. There is something here that surprises people. High intelligence and emotional depth are not antithetical to each other. In fact, research from the field of affective neuroscience shows that people with higher cognitive complexity experience emotions with more layers, not just the superficial emotion, but the meaning behind the emotion. Alone, they are in no rush to feel better. They sit with discomfort for a long time to understand it. This is called emotional granularity, the ability to differentiate between similar emotional states, such as loneliness or sadness and grief. To do this, the brain needs peace. Noise disrupts the process. After a hard day, a wise person does not immediately divert his attention. They will sit quietly, sometimes for long periods of time, not because they enjoy suffering, but because their brain is extracting information from the experience. 4. They mentally simulate a future they will never live. Lonely, highly intelligent people regularly visit versions of their lives that do not exist, not in the form of imagination, as a mental simulation. Neuroscientist Carl Friston's research on the predictive brain shows that highly active minds spend significant energy modeling possible futures, not to escape reality, but to test it before committing. A chess player does not see the board as it is. They see it as it could be, 5 steps ahead of many possible branches. Intelligent people run the same process with their decisions, relationships, and choices. In reality, they will mentally go through a difficult conversation before they can have the conversation. Not to rehearse the lines, but to understand how it might really feel and whether the outcome is worth pursuing. 5. They don't do anything intentionally. This is the one most people read wrong. Highly intelligent people do nothing regularly. Like no phone, no podcast, no distraction, just peace. And this is not laziness. Neuroscientists call this default mode network activation, a state where the brain appears inactive, but is actually doing its deepest work, connecting distant thoughts, processing unresolved experiences, and generating insights. Studies published in Nature Neuroscience have shown that breakthrough thinking almost never occurs during focused tasks. It happens in the moments between them. And this year his best idea probably came not at the desk, but in the shower, on a walk, in the silence before sleep. They have learned to protect that silence, because they've learned, slowly, privately, that this is where they are most alive. Here's a mental model that ties all five together. Think of highly intelligent brains as slow processors running complex software. This requires more input time, more compilation time, more quiet, not because it's weak, but because the programs it's running are more demanding. What looks like withdrawal is often deeper integration. Patterns are often identified in what looks like excessive thinking. What looks like doing nothing is often the most productive thing the mind will do all day. You don't need to explain what happens in your loneliness. You don't need to show off your intelligence to get someone to validate it. The things you do alone, like thinking, sitting, questioning, being silent, are not interruptions in your life. They are your life. And the next time the world makes you feel like peace is a problem to be fixed, remember, the deepest water doesn't make the noisiest.